Ugh. Alright, we're gonna see if this works at all. Wait. Gotta sync it up. I think the microphone's hearing me at least a little bit. It has to hear me. And clap. Good stuff. So the microphone setup I planned on using, which wasn't a microphone setup, more so just a microphone run to my phone, is not working at all. And the Cena doesn't really seem to like, the Cena doesn't really seem to appreciate, alright, I keep getting distracted. The Cena does not seem to appreciate the Cena microphone or doing a voice memo, so it's great for when I'm talking to other people, but it doesn't work all too well if I want to record something like this. So maybe I'll just have to turn it up. Maybe this will all be for nothing. But I've seen 500 videos about the KLX 300, the new one. They came out in 2021. This is the 2022, and now the 2023 model's out. And I've seen hundreds of videos on YouTube talking about, well, more or less their comprehensive reviews. And I think that more often than not, there's a couple of them that kind of get it, but more often than not, they miss the point. They don't really, they're trying to break down this motorcycle like it's a high-end sports car and give you its stats and give you its specs, which is important, don't get me wrong, you should look up the specs. But they're completely missing out on the point of this motorcycle. So this is a 300cc motorcycle. And as a 300cc motorcycle, it will never be anything more than a 300cc motorcycle. Unless you go out and you get the big 351 bore kit or the 401 that I think the company's name is Keng, K-E-N-G. They make one. It will never be more than a 292cc engine rounded up to 300. That's what it is. It's a good little engine, but it's just not more than that. It's it's liquid cooled. It's got 6 gears. It's really light and nimble. I mean, not really that light for how low the CCs are, but it's nimble and it's fun. So I think the people that come into this and they're like, wow, I'm really underwhelmed with the power output of this motorcycle. Well, I have a couple arguments for that. First of all, it's not supposed to be powerful. It's not a sport bike. If you want a 500, 600, 700cc sport bike, go get a 500, 600, 700cc sport bike. This bike has more than enough power for what it's for. And I'll get into that in a little bit. I guess we're stopping. It'll never. See, this is why I can't do moto vlogging. I would never. I just want to make this video so people stop hating on this motorcycle. Nope, nobody waves at me. It's cool. Anyway, it'll never be more than a 300cc motorcycle unless you want to do some serious engine mods to it. Second, this bike, especially in California, I mean, I know mine was, and I live in Georgia, especially in California, is so corked up, it is not even funny. My TTR 225 in high school with a big bore, big sprocket, would run quicker than this and probably have the same top speed. But that's easy to fix, and it's not really that expensive. You get a slip-on or a full exhaust, you do the airbox mod, and you get the EJA tuner and O2 sensor delete. And this thing just rides beautifully. I think it's fine before, not perfect, but fine. But I think it's perfect for the bike that it is after you do those three things. So I have the Yoshimura RS2 exhaust on the back of this thing, and it just, You probably can't even hear me talking right now, but it just eats. This thing just loves to eat. It's loud. And it really does open it up and give it a little bit more power. I felt like it was a little torquier in the low end, and it has definitely more pop in the upper end. But I felt like it was a little slow in the middle. Now, I should say this. I kind of messed up and did it incorrectly. I did not do my O2 sensor delete when I did the slide-on or slip-on exhaust, and I should have, because it made it run really funny for a while. But then I went and got the O2 sensor delete, and I have already ordered the EJK, which I know the newest one comes with the O2 sensor delete, but I went ahead and deleted it because I didn't want the computer running all frantic trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And so then finally, I got the airbox mod. And what I mean by the airbox mod is you can buy lids and caps that people make for these things, but in all reality, when you pull off the seat, it's just right up under here, under my crotch. The airbox is closed off, and there's like a 90-degree flat-looking pipe tube thing. That is your intake. From what I can gather on the internet, and from what I personally think, that device is 100% just for emissions, right? For efficiency and emissions. It makes this bike run differently so that it can pass emissions in the United States. I popped that thing out, and even without a tune, this thing just breathes. It didn't give it more power. No. Not the same way that taking off the pipe did, and I'm not sure if they both would have had the same effect if I'd done them in different orders. But I pulled that little snorkel out of the airbox, and now there's about an inch and a half tall by 3 to 4 inches wide intake on top of the box, and there's still the filter, so it's safe. I didn't affect anything there, and the power is just so much more linear. It's still a slow bike. It's a 300cc bike, but I can hit the throttle at any RPMs and it still pulls. So I think when it comes to power, people are just expecting more out of this bike than they need to. But if you're looking for an extremely reliable bike with low maintenance intervals and easily modifiable components, this is a great bike for that. It gets great gas mileage too. So, yeah. And I realize this is a supermoto. My opinions probably apply more to the 300R, which is the dirt bike, not the dirt bike, but the dual sport model. Wow! But that thing just eats. The pipe does get a little annoying, but that's okay. You let off the throttle and kind of cruise, it'll maintain speed. You don't have to be on it constantly. I see a lot of YouTube reviews. They're like, oh my gosh, if I'm on the highway, I just have to stay on it. Yeah, if you're climbing or you're overtaking, that's true, but wow! We're going right over there. We're going to the mountains because we're going to go hiking. But if you keep it under 6,500 RPMs, which for me, 6,500 RPMs is about 65 miles an hour. Right now I'm going 64, 65, and I'm at 7. I don't know if that's because I got a bunch of weight on the back, but regardless, it just cruises. It eats it up. It doesn't mind whatsoever. And I think that's the thing that gets this bike in trouble, is the people who buy the 300R, the dual sport model, know what they're getting. They want a low CC, low maintenance, super fun and flickable bike for the trail. That is more or less the same mentality that should be applied to the SM model for the street. If you want a 530cc KTM EXC, whatever the flippy flappy it is, then you need to go get one of those. This is not that. But what this is an enjoyable and comfortable ride. I'm not gonna run that because there's a cop right there. Is that a cop? I don't know what the heck that is. It says champs. what this is an enjoyable and comfortable ride. I have no clue what that is. It says Sheriff's Patrol with champs on it? Whatever. So I bought the Supermoto model because about 60 to 80% of my riding was going to be on road. I daily this bike when the weather's good. I ride it to work and back. I ride it to school and back. 65 miles a gallon. It's not too shabby. It really isn't. Easy to park. But I really should have gotten the dual sport model. It just came down to one little factor. I am 5'4" on a normal day, 5'5" on a good day, with some really tall boots. So I was uncomfortable on the dual sport model on the road. I know people are like, oh no, don't be a baby, I know you can tiptoe it. I was not comfortable. I tiptoed this one barely. So the dual sport model, that extra inch or two made a huge difference. So all I did was I got the Supermoto. I put a little skid plate on it. Put the kind of blocky tires on it, because all we're doing is camping. We've done some aggressive trails on it, but 90% of what we do is just service trails and some light single track. So I threw those good tires on it, and this bike does everything I need it to. It commutes me to school, saves me a ton of money. It gets me up in the mountains to go camping on a regular basis. It'll pop the wheelies when it wants to pop the wheelies. Now, I'm not popping any of the wheelies because there's a bunch of cops out and it's Sunday, and we're headed up and around Helen/Blood Mountain, so there's cops everywhere. But I think if I had to sum this bike up and give it like a phrase, this is a perfectly adequate bike. And it deserves no hate. It deserves no misdirection in the form of, wow, I wish it had more power. This bike does exactly what it was made to do. And if you as an owner take care of it and do the things that are necessary to make it even more functional, then it'll be a great little bike for you. People are like, they're great beginner bikes. I think they're great bikes, period. I have a 510cc Supermoto. I have ridden everything from, I'm trying to think, the smallest bike I've been on is a Grom. And then the biggest bike I've been on CC-wise, I don't know if it was CC-wise, but I've been on an MC09. But I think in terms of just raw power and speed, I don't know. That MC09 was torquey, but the Triumph Speed Triple, the 675, that was a pretty quick bike too. Could just have been the way they were tuned or how they were run, but anyway, I'm getting distracted and completely off topic. Perfectly adequate bike. So, what's the point of this whole conversation, this stupid video? Why am I not listening to music while I'm riding up here in the mountains and instead talking into a microphone that barely works? Because you should just buy this bike. If you were asking questions about the KLX 300 SM, you will not regret buying this bike. If you know or have more knowledge about motorcycles and know that a 300cc motorcycle might be too small for you, then you shouldn't be asking questions about the KLX 300. You just shouldn't. Like, it's not that complicated, because the problem is people who need more buy this bike and expect it to be something it's not. And then everyone else hates on this bike. But yeah, just buy it. Just buy it. Just get it. It's not that bad. It's great. I love it. And I've got 4,000 miles on this bike. I've had I think our longest day was like probably an 8 to 10 hour 3-state drive. And yes, I rode on this all 8 to 10 hours. It was wonderful. And here's another thing too. If you're comparing it to the, I have a buddy, unfortunately I have not been on the 300L, which would be the directly comparable bike to the 300R from Honda. But I do have a buddy that has a CRF. It's a 2022 300 Rally, which is the same exact bike, just with the big fake Africa Twin plastics on it. Wait, what was I saying? I have a buddy with a 300 Rally. Yeah, man. If you're comparing these two bikes, you really can't go wrong with either one of them. Again, it doesn't matter. I think if you want better suspension, which I did, then buy the KLX. If you want a smoother engine with less rattles and less crap going on, buy the 300L from Honda. But in reality, you're going to end up upgrading one way or the other because the 300L has equivalently a stroker kit from the CRF 250, so they increased the stroke, not the actual bore. And the KLX has a bore kit on it, so it's basically the KLX 250. I think it's closer to the SF, but with a big bore, 300 big bore. So you can't go wrong with either of those bikes. I think everything I've said in this video applies to the 300L and the 300 Rally as well. Like, don't buy these bikes expecting them to be something that they're not. But if you know what you want out of a bike, then you're not going to go wrong with this bike. Oh, I didn't know. Please don't hit me. Let's play a game of don't put your feet down, because that would be terrible if I had to put my feet down. But it's okay, I don't need my clutch anyway. All it's good for is burning out anyway. I'm genuinely not even sure if any of this audio is going to be usable if I've just been talking to myself for the past 20 minutes, but I'm happy to be out on my motorcycle either way.